Hi, Year 7. In preparation for September, when you come back as Year 8, now you might have seen this little chap, the Nodding Dog Project. If you've got any brothers or sisters or mates who are in Year 8, they will have already done this last year. Basically, this design is all about following instructions. Everyone makes the same design. There's no design work in it. It's all about following instructions and accuracy and neatness. So you're all going to follow these plans to make exactly the same thing. This is designed to sit somewhere in your house. If you've got a landline, it could sit near the telephone or it could sit near the front door. But basically, you get those times when you're asked to take a message for someone and you're struggling to find paper and a pencil and things like that. Well, here it all is in one go. It is not a toilet roll. Okay. In actual fact, this is a till roll. So this is the same sort of thing that when you buy something in the shop, out will come a receipt with all of the printed details about when you bought it, how much you paid for it, what it was, so that if you want to take a product back, you've got proof in that receipt. So these are actually till rolls. I've got students who've made these years and years ago, and they're still going on the same till roll. Okay. This is made out of pine. So we will be doing more about wood. So what I'm going to show you today is a little reminder about what you should be knowledgeable about when it comes to wood, plus maybe a few other things for you to go away and have a look at for yourself. Once you know a bit more about wood, a good exercise is to go around your house and try and find wooden objects and see if you can tell what kind of wood they are, whether they're a hardwood or a softwood, and even better than that, if you can actually tell what kind of tree it comes from. That's really, really impressive. A little bit about how wood has been used down through the thousands and thousands of years. It's one of the first materials that human beings actually started to use. So going back to times of what we might call the cave people, building very, very basic structures using trees. Another great thing about wood is it's sustainable, which means that once you chop down one tree, you can grow another. There was a very famous toilet paper advert about 10 years ago where they boasted that all of the trees that they chopped down to make their toilet paper, every one that they chopped down, they planted 3 new ones. So it is a sustainable material. You'll know from your science lessons how important trees are. If you think about the Amazon rainforest, it is known as the lungs of the earth for good reason, because they help us to breathe. So they're very, very important, but a very versatile material. I've got a 3-section of a log here. So this is a tree that was cut down many, many years ago. And I learned as far back as primary school that the way that you tell the age of a tree after it's been cut down is to count from the middle the rings out to the side. Each ring is a year. Okay. And also, in a plank of wood, if I hold this one up, you should know what these things are. So there's one there. Have I got any on the other side? Yeah, there are little ones dotted about. But that is a knot. And when that was part of a tree, that's where a branch came out. And it's even possible to tell how old the branch was when the tree was cut down. So if there are 6 little rings there, that little branch, if you think about it, is a mini tree. That little branch was 6 years old when the tree was cut down. There are some amazing statistics about ages of trees. The oldest living tree on this planet, look it up. You'd have to go to America, to a place called Nevada, where it's very, very, very dry, and the tree roots have to go down a long, long way in order to get any moisture. But there is a tree. It's got I'll let you look it up and find it. It's got a name, and it's over 4,000 years old, and it's still growing. Tallest tree, again, I'll let you look this one up. Again, it's in America. We have talked about this before. It's enormous, this tree, and again, it's got a name. It's a Californian Redwood, and it's top secret where it is. We're not allowed to know exactly where it is because they don't want people going and vandalizing it or spraying graffiti on it or trying to chop it down. But it is absolutely enormous. It's about twice the size of Nelson's Column. So huge, huge, great trees. One of the oldest and most famous trees in this country, if you go to Windsor Great Park near Windsor Castle, where the Queen sometimes lives, there is a tree in Windsor Great Park which is over 500 years old. And apparently it's the tree, it's an oak tree, it's the tree that King Henry VIII used to go and have picnics when he was young. So not when he was the big beardy guy, but when he was young and he was trying to impress girlfriends, he'd take them for a picnic under this tree. And it's still growing. It's still there. It's a lot bigger. Yeah, some quite amazing statistics about trees that are out there. All wood can fit into 3 categories. One of them is how we recycle wood. That's known as manufactured board, and I'll show you some of those later on. But the main 2 categories of wood are hardwoods and softwoods. Okay, the most used woods are softwoods, and I've got a piece of pine here. I was showing you this earlier. More pine is used on this planet than any other kind of wood. It grows approximately 30 centimeters a year. So the length of a ruler, in the old days we call that 1 foot a year. And if you've had a proper Christmas tree in your house in December, then you'll have a pine tree. They tend to have needles, and they tend to stay green all year round. So even in winter, if you look around and you see a tree and it is still green, then that is a softwood tree. They're known as conifers, and the nickname for them obviously is evergreens. But they do tend to grow quicker, so you don't have to wait so long for that tree. So if you go up into your house, into your attic, if you've got A-frames like that, they're going to be made out of pine. A lot of your furniture will be made out of pine. It is by far and away the most used material. And when you make your nodding dog, you'll be using pine as well. Now, the other type of tree are the hardwood trees. Now, these are the ones that lose their leaves in the winter. So, any wintertime, look out into a garden or a park or school grounds. Any trees without leaves on, they're going to be hardwood. They take a lot longer to grow. They are more densely packed. So you've got to wait a long time for a tree to grow big enough to be able to provide you with planks of wood. So it might be 60, 70 years before a hardwood tree is big enough to cut down and use. Whereas maybe a pine wood tree, then you're looking at probably 20 years. So, it's a third difference. One of the hardest woods, this is a really nice example that I show. This is from Africa, not the actual bowl, but the wood is called Lignum Vitae, and it is one of the toughest woods that you can get. It's really, really hard, very tightly packed, and for something that small, it really does weigh quite a lot. And I know that I've passed this around many of you. If you haven't, it's on the shelf there. As long as you don't drop it on your foot and end up breaking a toe, you can, hold that. So hardwoods, they are used where things have got to be a lot tougher, a lot more long lasting. If you go into an antique shop and look at any of the furniture that's in there that might be 100, 150, 200 years old, it's all going to be hardwood. So things like mahogany and beech and oak. This workbench that I am leaning on and that you work on, this is made out of ash, which is incredibly tough. All of my wooden handles in the tool cupboard, they're all made out of ash as well, because it's really, really tough. And you want something to be long lasting if you're doing a DT project. That category about what human beings do with wood to recycle them and reuse them is, I'll say again, is manufactured board. One of the most commonly used, Mdf Medium-Density Fiberboard. This is literally glued together sawdust. So wood that is not needed anymore, that's being scrapped, it will get turned into sawdust. It will get mixed with special glues, pressed really flat, and baked in a great big industrial oven. And what comes out are these great big sheets of medium density fiberboard. They're fantastic for indoor use. They get used on a lot of doors in kitchens and things like that. Not very good outside. Once you get water on this, it tends to swell up like a sponge. So not very good outdoors, but a brilliant recycled wood, so we're not chopping so many trees down. The only thing I think that's sad about it, no grain pattern. You can't see that lovely grain pattern and knots that you get, you know, if you compare it to this piece of wood. You know, it doesn't have the character of the pine there, but still a very, very useful wood. Another one would be chipboard. There's a piece gone on the floor there. I'll edit that out, so don't worry. This is chipboard, and this is little particles of wood, so not down as far as much as the MDF, so not dust, but certainly little particles of wood. Again, glued together, and you can glue plastic coated, this is called melamine, on both sides to make it look as if it's something different. So you can make this look as if it's an expensive wood, whereas in actual fact, when you look at you know, the chipboard there, this is going to be a lot cheaper than paying out for very, very expensive surfaces. Most people's kitchens, if you go and look at their kitchen worktops, they might look like they're marble, but in actual fact, they're chipboard with plastic on top that looks like marble. If you press down on it, if it does feel really cold, then you're obviously very well off and you've got marble kitchen surfaces. But for most people, it's going to be a bit of chipboard like this. The other one to show you is plywood. Now, this is made by gluing together very, very thin layers of wood, and they're glued together in different directions. Each piece has got the wood grain going in a different direction, and that makes this piece of wood really, really strong. So you'll get a lot of plywood used in boat building and other projects where you do need strength. And another thing about when you put thin layers of wood together, if you glue them in a certain shape, once they're dry, they will stay in that shape. Now that's called laminating. And if I pick up what fell onto the floor, this is a bow from a bow and arrow set. And to get that curve there, yeah, to bend one single piece of wood into that curve, you would just simply snap it. It would just break. You wouldn't be able to do it. But if you bend a lot of pieces together and keep them in that shape until the glue dries, when you take the frame away, what you're left with is it keeps that shape. And if I turn this upside down, you can imagine this is also the way that they make hulls of boats. But this bow and arrow set has to be very, very tensioned. So that's called laminating. And we do, in year 6, when we do a keyring project, we laminate with pieces of acrylic. So we stick those together to make a nice, strong little keyring. So this will be your project come September, hopefully. I mean, we'll get this done one way or another, even if we're not all in at the same time. It might just take a little bit longer than usual. But pine wood, following very, very accurate instructions, down to the nearest millimetre on your rulers, on your steel rulers from the tool cupboard. If something is supposed to be 60 millimetres wide, it's not 59, it's not 61, it's 60. Okay, otherwise this will not work. So it's about accuracy and working as neatly as you can, okay, following instructions. So what I'm saying in preparation for this is see if you can find out more information about wood, maybe put it on a PowerPoint or just a couple of sentences in your books at home. Try and find out some fun facts. Find out the name of that oldest tree in the world that's over in America. See if you can find out the name of the tallest tree in the world. See if you can find out about what's the oldest tree in Great Britain. And also maybe look around your house and see if you can maybe discover what wooden objects you have in your house, and ask people. You might have grandparents that you can talk to on the internet or on the phone, and they might have some things. That one is that's the game of bowls. When you have to bowl this closest to the little white ball. It's not 10-pin bowling this, and maybe you might have some relatives that play this game. But so yeah, have a look around, see what you can see, so that when you do come back in ready for this project, you've got a bit of knowledge about the material that we're going to make it out of. Okay, stay safe, everyone. Bye bye.